what are the most important aspects of a game to you? So I saw this on Twitter. What do
Mm,
you rank as the most important features in games? So these are the features that he ranks. This is a lot, so we may miss a
okay.
couple of these. Graphical fidelity, frames per second, story, gameplay, effects, particle, ray tracing, immersion, character reacting to surroundings, breakable environments, controls, and sound. I don't know. Yo, by the way,
Um,
I'm not gonna rank all these shits in order, bro. Just saying for you right now.
yeah, I mean, I just give like choice cuts.
Yeah.
Feel like first and foremost for me is graphics. I mean, excuse me, not graphics. It's control. Second is graphics. And there was another one in there. Um,
Sound or frame rate.
um, sound. A frame
Yeah.
rate doesn't. Frame rate is not like I'm okay with frame rates. I don't need to have it.
Oh, Carlos, do me a favor, bruh.
Oh,
One subset is asking where does he submit questions. I don't think he's in the Discord. Can you drop the
oh,
link in there? You're allowed to do that, right? I think I gave you permission for that.
yes. Not on my account, but I can log into the Throwdown.
Yeah, yeah. Hook this man up, man.
Which
He needs to join the Discord, bro. All right.
yeah,
So
I
for
got you.
me, I got in trouble on Twitter for saying this, but
Oh
this is,
shit!
you know, when don't I get in trouble on Twitter? I guess you know. For me, the story, man, story and characters and the world.
Mhm.
That's number one because I can play a shitty game with bad controls. If the story's good, I'm there. Mass Effect, the first one is the prime example. The original one, not the remaster, they did a good job. I thought the game was atrocious. It played bad. It was buggy. It was terrible. But the characters and the story were so good, I didn't care.
Oh, I
Bl-
forgot. I forgot. I forgot that. Yeah, definitely story is a high
yeah,
one for me.
story is that's like number one. Like if I don't care about the story or the characters, I don't give a fuck how good the gameplay. Here's a prime example, right? And I could be objective about this. Metal Gear Solid Revengeance, right? The
Hmm.
gameplay is fantastic, but I didn't care about the characters. I didn't care about the story, so I don't care about the game. I don't care
So
how good
Tony,
the game is. You know,
how, how much did you like Bloodborne story?
I thought it was great. Actually, the world was
You
so
didn't know it
immersive.
for
No, I
like
didn't
three
know it.
quarters of the game.
No, but Brett, didn't you hear what I just said? Story, world, characters. The world was so immersive. It was fantastic. It was
All right,
great. But
that's
you're right.
fair.
The story was like you had to explain that shit to me.
Yeah,
you
well,
know.
that was like everybody loves Bloodborne. You're like, what's the story of Bloodborne? Everyone's
Yeah.
like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah, and
I
that's
feel
the thing.
like I feel,
Here's the thing
I,
about the Soulsborne games. You don't really, at least for me, I don't play it for. I just love the atmosphere of those fucking games, man. When you're in it, you're in it. You feel like you're a part of that world. And let's just, I mean, at least for me, the controls are good, but they're not like brilliant or anything. It's just being in that oppressive atmosphere, and the sense that I'm slowly learning and becoming better over time, that I'm mastering this world. So that still goes in line with what I said. The world immersion, all that has to be if Bloodborne was just the controls, then I wouldn't give a shit, controls are probably well, actually, what are they for me? No, I think no, that because my three main ones are story game, story slash game, story slash world characters. That's one. Then the graphics. If the game doesn't look good, I don't give a fuck how good it plays. I'm not playing it. No, not doing it. Granted, older games are getting an exception because I played them before. But like, if you have a brand new 2021 game that looks like ass, I don't care. Not playing it. I'm not interested. Then the gameplay. So that's my order. I know there's some other stuff in there, but those are my three pillars.
What do you consider controls?
Um, Here's the thing. I think good controls you don't notice they're there. Prime example, the first Infamous game, the controls in that game were so good, I didn't realize I was playing with controllers like I was playing with my mind. So if I am aware that I am playing with a controller, then it's bad controls. That's the way I see
Okay.
it. You know.
you essentially have to physically think about what you got, what button or you have to press,
Yeah. Oh,
right?
yeah. And not only that, but like if I try to do something and it doesn't happen, that's bad controls. It's taking me out of the immersion.
And see, I generally go more off of like how tightly and quick reacting your character is to the controls, and like by that instance, I would argue with you that the Souls games are they have a huge amount of control of them. I mean, the hitbox porn in those games alone is half of why a lot of people come to it.
Oh no! And by the way, just to clear the air, I think the controls in those games are great. There's just not my personal selling point for them. You
Well,
know?
here's the thing. Like the thing about it is like for a game like Bloodborne or any of the Souls games, they don't react as soon as you press a button because they're limited by the actual character themselves. So when you're swinging a sword, there's the wind up, there's all of that sort of stuff that happens in there as you as a person would. Right when you want to hit something, if in other words, if you have this giant, giant like sort of the berserk sword, you're not going to hit that person right away. But
well, yeah, but like
Mhm.
but in that game, like when I said the hitbox is like if you hit someone there, I have never once in that game seen something where like, oh, I totally hit that guy, but it didn't register.
no.
Like, no, you can like dive under a sword. Like, and I'm not sure. The reason I ask is because I'm not sure if that counts as controls or something else. But that is one thing that I definitely like. If I swing my sword and it passes through the character model and does no damage, I'm fucking pissed. Equally so, if I swing my sword, don't connect with somebody, and damage pops up, I'm like, oh, fucking come on.
Yeah. No, the hitbox porn in that game is brilliant. Like when someone's attacking you and you duck and you see that blade go right over your head and you don't take any damage, like that's fucking good shit. But you're right, that is a good question. Like, is that control gameplay? I don't know. Either way, it's good and I like it.
I think that's gameplay.
Yeah, I think that's gameplay. Yeah. So would controls and gameplay be two different things then?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I would have assumed gameplay would be referring to like the gameplay loop,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, you're
I
right.
can
Yeah.
get that.
No, I think there could be arguments like controls and gameplay are separate things. Because you're right, their gameplay is the loop that every game has, and then the controls are just like, does it do stuff when I press it? you know. Again, I realize I'm kind of an outlier with mine. Most people say gameplay over everything. That's great, fantastic. Not for me. Gameplay is the one of the least things I care about. It's like it's the immersion that I care about most. But again, bad gameplay will fuck that immersion up. you know what I'm saying? So that's where I'm coming at it from. All right, Chris, what about you? What's your order?
Order.
Or
Can I answer for Chris?
yes.
Swimming is number one.
Chris is muted right now, so I think he may be AFK.
Might be away.
Oh,
right.
wait, sorry.
Yeah.
I thought I was talking, but
Oh. Like, why these motherfuckers talking
Yeah.
over me, man?
no, that's no. He brought up swimming. I was gonna say gameplay. I guess that counts.
Yeah.
Well, give me that swimming. But
Gotta get that-
story is important and controls. I do count them different because I would in the era of motion controls, I stayed away from a ton of shit that I would normally try. It's like if this game was just normal, like I play it with thumbsticks and buttons, I'll play it like fucking like Skyward Sword on the Wii.
Oh, Chris, I got one.
I would have played that it was normal. I mean, I
What
played
about-
that now.
What about like Half-Life Alex?
Yeah, I'm not putting goggles on my. I don't like VR. I'm not gonna play that shit. Yeah, if it was normal, if you gave me like that game like on a TV, that's perfect. Like I don't want VR. I just think they're all gimmicks, you know? I just want to play with a controller. So anything motion control, especially with Kinect stuff, was like fuck Kinect. That was garbage. So yeah, that's important. I put graphics lower on it because like we come from an era of like we went through all 8-bit. I started with Atari, you know. I play some indie games. I play like Dead Cells. Dead Cells doesn't look like you know, anything special. I enjoyed it. I'll still play 2D platformers, you know. So that graphics is not like a pinnacle for me. If you have bad controls like that ruins it. Gameplay and story are important, are more important to me. I don't need too much effects either. Immersion is good. I would rate that higher. And then music. I guess sound and music would count together. He only said music. He only
Yeah.
said sound in here. But I would say like that's important too. Like yeah, because that builds immersion, right? If you have good music and good sound effects, that builds game immersion. So you put those together.
Yeah. I'm
Yo,
reading.
Tony.
Oh yeah. By the way, shout out to CV Tech. For the bits.
Oh,
Shout
shout
out.
out.
Oh, thank you.
Go ahead, Carlos. And I want to read what Blitz said.
Yo, what do you think about this sound design?
Yeah, man. See, that type of stuff will pull me out of a game. One of the reasons I don't like Halo 4 as much as the other ones is because the music is whack compared to the other one.
Yeah.
Like you hear that shit, the music in the first 3 games, boy, you are in there. That shit's hype as fuck. And you hear this shit in 4. Doo, 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 doo. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? Real quick, Blitz, he goes, graphics definitely sit down the list for me. Love them pretty graphics, but would rather play an ugly ass game with great gameplay over the best looking game that plays like shit. Here's the thing. My caveat there would be like, what's the story like though? Because that would be
Yeah.
I gotta say, here's that counterbalance, Tony. I rank story almost last.
Yeah, no, I know that. There's definitely guys who are just like gameplay guys, which I respect.
Well, I mean, it's one of those, like, I like a good story, but I found good stories tend to spring up more from sandbox games, at least for me. Like, I like the story that you write or the story that happens to your character more than, some of the stuff usually kind of spoon-fed to you. One of the things I really loved was, when I come home, find Rachel playing Fallout all day, I'd be like, what did you do in Fallout today? She'd be able to regale me like an hour-long story of crazy shit that happened. So, like, I like that stuff because it's kind of a natural buildup of story, and a lot of times, especially if the gameplay and everything doesn't match what you're doing, you hit these points where like, oh, here's a side quest mission, or go find fucking 10 snake hides, or whatever the fuck it is to fucking stretch and draw out the game, and that's where I lose my immersion. That's where I'm like, okay, see. Now this is just bullshit that doesn't fucking matter anymore. Like, why do I need to hunt down all of these pieces of a fucking tattered scroll if somebody is in life-threatening danger right now? This doesn't make any fucking sense. So like, I do like story, but I find the big cinematic set pieces to be less engaging because I feel like it's somebody just yelling story at me and that I'm not participating in.
Interesting. See, again, we're on the opposite ends because I feel like the stories you make up don't matter because it's just random stuff. Like the story that's actually written, that's the real thing.
Like life is random stuff.
Yeah, but again, I'm not trying to. When I'm playing a game, I want to get the fuck away from life. Give me this stuff. I don't want to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like again, I'm not. When I play a game, and I've said it before, I am not trying to be like, what? Let me make my own adventure. Fuck that. Give me an adventure. Take me on a ride. You know?
Well, counter to that, like, if I'm assaulting a castle, why the fuck do I need the game to tell me how I feel about assaulting the castle? Like, maybe if I have to, like, prepare my shit, build some items, level up, and then assault the castle, I can do it any number of ways. Then I actually have, like, am I doing this wrong? Is this the best idea? And if I do a thing and it works out really well, I can be like, oh, sweet, that was proud. I'm proud that was fun, as opposed to them being like, oh, you're feeling real riled up about assaulting this castle now. I'm like, I mean, I guess just because you told me I do.
Well, I mean, it's
again.
Like, if you think about it, it also has to do with the narrative. The narrative is what the developer is telling you. I mean, if you're playing a Joker game and you destroy you burn a hospital or some crazy shit like that, then it's not important what you think. It's important what the character thinks.
Yeah, and that's the one thing. And Carlos, I'm glad you brought this up because when I play a game, I always try to think, what would this character do? I always try to think, what would the character do? And that, to me, helps me become more immersed in it, because if I'm left to my own devices, I'm going to do the most boring, pedantic shit I can. And this is why, and Brett, you and I, again, we differ on this too. That's why I like the way you assassinate in Assassin's Creed 2 versus 1. In 1, they let you assassinate any way you want. You know what I did for every single assassination? I ran up to the guy, stabbed him, hid somewhere until the alarm went away, then I completed the mission. And 2, they at least set these things up for you. Yes, it was restricted, but it was more memorable because they were different assassinations every single time instead of just me running up and stabbing the guy and hiding,
Well, you didn't have to cheese the game,
but the game allowed that.
Again.
Yeah, but again,
it's your efficiency again. Like me, like I'm again the opposite of you in that aspect. Like, I don't like efficiency. I fucking hate it. Most games, I walk around with 7 to 12 levels of skill points banked up, because if I spend them, that shit's just gonna get way too easy. And people always, people look at my game, they're like, why are you walking around with 12 skill points? I'm like, meh, I'm doing fine. Like, yeah, but don't you want to level up and get crazy? I'm like, meh, things get harder. I mean, as it stands, I don't really need to right now.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. The instant I get a single skill point, spending it. As soon as I get to a like new town, what new armors do they have? This place has a bunch of enemies. Let me level grind for a couple of hours, so I could just breeze through everything. Again, we just different gameplay designs. I just value efficiency more because I'm trying to get through this snappy, so I can get to the next game. Also, if you drag the game out, then the story gets dragged out too for me. Anyway, did we catch everybody gameplay?
No, I didn't go.
Oh, go ahead, man.
That's because you were answering for everybody else.
By the way, this is what I'm saying. This is why when I play a hack and slash game, I literally do the same combo in every game because it works in every game. Light, hard, dodge. It just dodge every. I do the same combo in every fucking game, and it always works. So I'm like, why should I try something different if it always works the same in every game? So that's the way I see it. Anyway, Carlos, go ahead.
I think for me, it's gameplay, then graphics, then story. Just from we're using kind of the big three here.
Yeah, the big three. Yeah.
And I've noticed this with the game that I'm playing right now. It's like I'm playing Metroid Dread.
Ooh, that's a gameplay game. Like I'm not playing that for the story. I want to just the cool gameplay. That's what draws me in there. Same thing with Bayonetta. I don't give a fuck about the story. I just want to kick some ass. You know what I'm saying? So I will definitely play some gameplay games for sure. But Metroid. You go there for the atmosphere, but it's mostly for the story. Like, where do they hide all this cool shit? How can I find it? Oh, look at these power ups. What can I do now?
Yeah, and it's I was expecting a little bit more of a story, and it's like, nah, Samus landed on a planet. Let's get something to get out.
Said, yo, hold on, man. Hold on. CB Tech is making it rain right now.
Oh, damn.
Respect to you, my man. My man.
Oh, man.
Let's go.
He said, what would Tony do?
Yeah, what would Tony do and what?
I think gameplay and control can be bundled together to shrink things down. Oh, no. Yeah, I guess it was just maybe a question out of something we said.
Yeah. What would Jesus do? What would Tony do? Let's go. That's even better. Tony would drink that wine, All right. I don't even know what the heck to do with Jesus, but fuck it. Anyway, go on.
I think I've mentioned this before, but I think stories in video games are overrated. I think they're far and few between when it comes to good narratives. I don't know. I just feel like video. I can't think of a video game story, even something like Ghost of Tsushima. It's a decent story. Is it Is it on the level of?
Yeah. But the thing is that the interactive element makes it better though. To me, Mass Effect is on par with Star Trek and all that shit that I love. And the gameplay, the interactiveness just makes it even better. Obviously. Go ahead.
I think, and I would agree. I mean, Mass Effect is the closest thing to reaching the peaks that certain other mediums like film and books and TV shows do. But Uncharted, they're making a movie out of it. That story ain't good.
But the thing is, how you gonna make a movie out of a game that's inspired by a movie? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay,
was inspired by.
Okay, here's the thing: Uncharted, the video game, exists as a playable version of an Indiana Jones movie or different, the level of movies. Why the fuck are you turning it into a movie? You already have the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I got to agree with Carlos in the sense of yes, video games sometimes do have amazing stories, and it can be an amazing medium to tell a story in. But most of the time, the stories are phoned in, kind of like an afterthought. I can tell you, damn near on one hand, the number of really good stories in the last decade that I've played through video games.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can say that a lot about movies too. Or all the beats coming and shit. So you can say the same thing too. There's just some lazy writers in every medium,
Yeah, but I feel like in video games, I feel that it's more so. But I think I don't know. That's why I lean more towards the gameplay loop because when I play Spider-Man, when I play Monster Hunter, when I play Metroid, when I play all those games, I'm like, I don't really care that much
Oh,
about
Monster
the
Hunter, I don't care
story
about
of
the
them.
story. I don't care about the story of Monster Hunter. That's just, we get together and just for the dudes,
It's
Dude,
like,
that's
yeah,
all I care
it's
about.
like,
You
it's the
know?
engine. I don't care.
Yeah.
I just want to beat the shit out of
Yeah,
it.
no, for real. When we play Back with Blood, I don't give a fuck about the story, bro. Just kill some
Yeah,
zombies.
exactly.
You know?
Hold on, though. You bring up a good point.
Yeah.
Those are all good, fun gameplay games, but they also have a high amount of immersion without having to have any story. So, like, yeah, like I absolutely feel that way. But like, yeah, when I'm in Monster Hunter, like I like to feel immersed in the whole thing. I like to feel like I'm beating the shit out of these monsters. So it is gameplay, but I do you also think it's some immersion?
Oh, immersion is definitely a big thing. But the thing is,
Yeah.
maybe this is wrong with me, but I lump immersion with story too. But you're right. Gameplay would immerse you into it. It does for me. If I don't realize the gameplay is there or the controls are there, then that's immersion. So maybe immersion kind of seeps into a lot of aspects because music could help you be immersed too. Halo, a perfect example. You hear
I
that
think
fucking
immersion is when different elements.
when they all come together, right? I think you're right about that, man.
Dead Space is another good example.
Yeah. By the way, Street Fighter. I'm not playing no Street Fighter for story, bro.
No, man.
Yeah.
I just want to get in to throw some Hadoukens,
I mean, again, like they attempt to try to immerse you, but
I don't care.
it's like it's just an excuse to get Ryu to punch some things.
Yeah.
If you're expecting Street Fighter to have some sort of deep story, you've got another thing coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, even sort of like the thing like the Zeldas and the Marios and the Smash, like no one really cares that much about the story. Some Zelda people claim they do, but this is the same shit all over again.
Yo, when I'm playing Mario, I just want that hardcore platforming. That's all I care about.
It's funny because like Zelda is not only about the the main story. We got to kill you have your your direction. The thing in the distance that you got to go kill. But for a lot of the story, like the stories are not exactly linear. It's a lot of it's like miniature stories. We're like, hey, look, you went and got this guy this can of worms you always wanted.
Well,
Yeah,
even
when
like
you
the
uncover
Guardians,
those,
even like the Guardians, they're not really. Yeah, you have to take down the four Guardians. I don't know if I'd count that as like story, but like the moment that you're getting, where you're fighting them, the things you kind of get.
Yeah.
by the way, is Brett cutting off?
He's cutting that hardcore tonight, or not really tonight. In the last like 10 minutes or so,
Yeah, maybe Brett walked outside or something.
Yeah.
Maybe the crickets are interfering with the frequencies. But I mean, also graphics is an important thing for me. It's not gameplay important, but I think I prefer it more than story. Yeah, I don't know. I have a difficult relationship with stories in video games. I know
you don't like it very much, but I don't know, Carlos. Like graphics, I think just hearing what you're saying, I think that's one of the like unspoken things in games because a lot of people say I don't care about graphics. Like, dude, Carlos, for me and you, if Zelda looked better, we would like it more. Let's just be real.
Yeah, we would have liked it more.
Because you're playing Breath of the Wild after Horizon like we did. We're like, what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah,
I can confidently say I'm in a different camp. I like Elder Scrolls games.
Yeah.
Yeah, those things they're not winning any beauty pageants.
No, they're not. But
well,
there's so much.
Skyrim looked good.
Depending on the mods, right?
When it came out,
not necessarily in comparison to like it's just a natural drawback. Like we were saying with GTA earlier, like when you have a game that's so immense in scope, you're gonna suffer a little bit. And its graphics are passable, but it's never been like holy shit. This is Rage had better graphics.
Yeah, I think Elder Scrolls has always been like that. I think Skyrim was the only exception where it's like, oh shit, they stepped up their game. It looks half decent.
You say that, but everybody on this panel is making fun of the faces in that game.
Well, yeah, I mean, all these types of games have their deficiencies sometimes, but graphics are number two, gameplay's number one. There's just a ton of games, and I do this a lot too. It's like sometimes I play games and I couldn't care less about all the story, man. I'm like, I just want to move the fuck on. I want to, get the next part and kill the next monster.
Blah blah blah. Magic crystal, give me the sword.
Yeah.
Well, and also, but I do want to be clear. I can appreciate when a video game has a great story. When you do the Mass Effects, when you do the BioShocks, like then I'm like, oh, I want to know more. I want to get to the end to see what happens. Final Fantasy 15, great.